1, 2, 3 wins in a row for the Nashville Predators. The latest coming last night in a 5-4 win over the New York Islanders. A lot to unpack for this game. We got your recap today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
Your Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. Even if Twitter's not around, we are 5 days a week. We are your free Nashville Predators podcast. That's available to you on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
Today's show is also brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. We were talking about this before the break, Ann. If Twitter breaks, what's the last tweet you would want the world to remember you by?
You know what? Honestly, we were joking about this off, but I really have to go with Henry Winkler smells like heaven.
I mean, I don't know how you top that one.
Like that is the greatest truth right now that I can offer the world as we part, is that if you ever have the chance to meet Henry Winkler, 100% do it, because he's amazingly lovely and he smells like what I think heaven must smell like. What about you? What would be your parting words?
First off, I want to know what defines Henry Winkler's smell. Like, is there like cologne?
It's a cologne.
Okay.
Yeah, it was some sort of a cologne. Yeah.
I was thinking you were like, he's like just smells like gingerbread or something like that walking out.
You know what? He really could smell like gingerbread. He is that just amazing. He is that amazing. Yeah.
I feel like I would want to just like get an opinion off my chest that I know would like stir the pot.
Ooh, yeah.
Like inspire so much vitriol. So mine would have to be Chick-fil-A is mid.
Oh my gosh, shots fired. Just dropping the grenade and running.
Yeah. I mean, It is. There's like 50 better places to get chicken.
What's your favorite chicken sandwich? What's better than Chick-fil-A for a chicken sandwich?
Have you ever heard of Raising Cane's?
I have not.
Have you ever had a Cane's pizza?
Not even a little bit.
So what you do, this is like leftover Cane's the next day. You know, they come with like the little like pieces of bread, like Zaxby's bread, only a little bit better. And I hope none of these are coming on board as a sponsor after I just besmirch them. And you like flatten the bread and you like make like like your cane sauce, and that's like your base. And then you put like the chicken on top. And you put like some cheese or like some other sides, and then you have like a little pizza.
Ah, is it like a chain?
Raising Cane's, yeah.
Is it? Okay. Is it down here in Nashville?
I don't know if it's in Nashville or not. Okay. It's very popular like up here in like the Midwest. So
yeah. Okay.
You might see one.
Okay.
There's people that came here for hockey talk that are like, dear God, people, what are you doing? Let's talk hockey, shall we?
Let's talk hockey.
The Nashville Predators took on the New York Islanders last night. It was a wild back and forth game, especially early on, except the Predators got off to a 4-1 lead.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. It was like, they're turning a corner. Things got a little bit dicey late in the game. You started seeing maybe a little bit of a loose play. The Islanders turn it on. They made it 4-3 at one point. They made it 5-4 towards the end of the game within the last 5 minutes, and they were pushing hard at the end. But UC Saros closed the door late. The Predators defense did manage to tighten up things a little bit at the end, came up with some big defensive stops. And your one word to describe last night's 5-4 win over the New York Islanders.
Usually I spend way too much time chewing on what my one word is going to be. But last night, as the game ended, I immediately knew right away what my one word was. And my one word is snowball effect.
Okay.
So snowball effect, it's an actual psychological term, and it explains how small actions can cause bigger and bigger actions, resulting in kind of a big impact. So, take a little snowball and you roll it around the snow in the yard and it gets bigger and bigger. And there was just a thing actually on Twitter where at Penn State, shout out to Penn State, they created this giant snowball. It was like the size of a smart car and like rolled it into one of the buildings. So it was just amazing. But the game last night reminded me of that giant Penn State snowball because it was little actions that added up to something. The first period, the Nashville Predators came out. They ended up 3-1 in the first period. And it was just, they started playing with speed. And those, that speed sort of generated some chances and the snowball got a little bigger. And those chances developed into some goals, which then grew into some momentum. And the momentum generated intensity, which generated speed. And you ended up with this 3-1 snowball at the end of the first. Now, the flip side of that is in the second and third period, when you let up on things, the snowball starts to roll the other way. And you could see the Rangers gaining momentum after goals, after turnovers, after, takeaways. And then, just in little pockets, you could see snowballs, like with Forsberg's first goal. It was the fourth shot, in a row. It was the fourth rebound that finally went in. And so you see Nashville doing these little things and they gain momentum, or you see Nashville stop doing little things and, you see the Islanders gain momentum. So this was definitely a game that exhibited the snowball effect, and if you step back, look, Nashville has now won, wait for it, 3 in a row. Yeah. Is this maybe the snowball effect? Like, is there some momentum rolling down the hill? Is this going to get bigger and better, or is the snowball going to melt and pivot?
It's crazy how much either the W or the L changes like how you talk about a game, because again,
true,
like we're our perspective on this one is, look, the Predators had some things to like clean up, but look, they still came out with the win. If the final score was flipped and it was 5-4 Islanders after that 4-1 Preds start, we'd be talking about, well, look, the Predators have a lot of problems and it costs them another win.
Yes.
So it's all
100%.
It's crazy just how, which direction, who gets the W in their column, how much that dictates how we view this game.
Yeah, as I was even writing the recap, you feel that momentum changing as you're writing the recap. You're seeing this through the lens of the first period where Nashville was just playing with speed and intensity. They were outplaying the Islanders. Now, I will also say this, the Islanders were not playing their game in the first period too. So that worked out real well for the Predators.
Yeah.
But as the game went on and as I'm writing this recap in real time, I'm like, okay, the vibe of this recap is getting a little like, my adjectives are taking a turn here because of the way the momentum went. And I think that you're right. There was definitely a pocket in this game up until, I don't know, the last buzzer, where this game could have gone the other way. And it would have felt like, as elated as it feels to have 3 wins in a row, as good as it feels to have a good win over the Islanders, as much as we want to highlight how amazing that first period was, and there were some great things throughout this game for the Predators, this would be a very different game recap if just one or two things had gone the other way. So I agree with you. This is one of those games where, like, okay, thank goodness we're on the winning end, because nobody wants to rage podcast on a Friday.
No, that's saved for whatever yesterday.
Thursdays.
That was a doozy.
That was
I want to talk about my favorite TV show, Anne. Well,
okay.
One of my favorite TV shows, very binge-worthy, and it's Chopped.
Oh.
If anybody has ever seen Chopped, it's like the competition where they got to like take everything out of the basket. And some of these guys just flat out knock it out of the park. It's like the creative thing, but the judges love drama. So what happens is
Mhm.
they take their dish to the judges, they put it on the table, the judges try it, and it's like, oh my God, like you took this like salmon pate and made this amazing dish. I love what you did with this. I love what you do with this. And then like one judge will be like, yeah, but the potatoes are raw. Like your potato side dish just didn't really come together. And then this like dramatic music, and it'll be like somebody will make like just this giant, like beautiful plate, and it's like the star of the plate is delicious. This is delicious, and then one person's got to be like, yeah, but the sauce wasn't there, and it's for me like I just don't like it. And it's like
Oof.
dramatic music, and it's like one of those things where it's like you get to like the end, and it's like, oh, are they really gonna harp in on the sauce, or are they just doing this for dramatic effect? Even though
Mhm.
overall the dish was good, like you liked the dish, you liked everything you saw. There's a lot of things that you can like go in and nitpick, and then you think, huh, was this really a good dish, or was this just better than the other team?
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm describing the Nashville Predators last night, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
look, the Predators overall, they got the win. You got to be happy with the win. And there's a lot of things that went well. Now we talk like some of the mistakes stand out, but there's a lot of things the Preds did really well. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, they played with a lot of speed. This is the type of, Nashville Predators game plan strategy that I think helps you win games against tougher opponents. This is the kind of game plan that you roll out against Colorado and Tampa if you want to match up with them. This kind of
Yes.
fast pace, push the issue kind of game plan. And they executed that well. Like, this is like, if you're especially on offense, like offensive execution, one of the best games the Predators played. I mean, they just looked fast, they looked engaged. As you like that Forsberg goal, I think it was like kind of like the perfect, like the microcosm where it's just like
Yes.
4 or 5 whacks at the puck, and then they finally, get it in. I think that was the Forsberg goal. Might
Yeah,
have
it
been.
was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, just like this kind of relentless, like you'd see that, you'd see 1 or 2 people like out of position or something like that, and they wouldn't make the play. They did that, and they looked very engaged throughout the entire thing. But obviously, and here comes the dramatic chopped, the sauce isn't right sound effect. There's
Mhm.
also a lot to nitpick too. The Preds were very, very careless with the puck. 17 giveaways last night, a lot of them in their defensive zone, especially late in the game. And
Yeah.
when the Islanders turned it on, it looks like the Predators kind of had trouble responding to the point where it was like it got to be 4-3, and we're like, yep, of course, the dam's about to break.
Yes.
But the Predators found a way to win off of a great power play late in the game. So it's like, again, like it kind of goes back to your perspective on this game changes with either your team getting the W or the L, because the Preds got the W. And we can talk about, what the Predators did a lot of really things well, and they harped on that, and that's what got them to the win. As opposed to if the Predators lost that game, we'd be talking about look at all these mistakes that cost the
Yes.
Predators a win.
Yes.
Again,
For
like I would
sure.
say, and like overall, like I look at the Preds play these past 3 games, and yes, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up, but there's also a lot that I really like about the Predators
Mhm.
play.
And I think that there is something to be said for being able to win in a game like this, because I feel like earlier in the season, we saw too many games where Nashville was sort of playing back on their heels like they did in parts of the second and third period of this game, and it got away from them. So there is something to be said for, okay, yep, they kind of got put back on their heels, but they were able to close it out. So you can take away positives from it. But I agree with you. This is definitely a game that whether you won it or lost it is going to change the way you view it, because there was some really great things, and we're definitely going to talk about those. Juuso Parssinen. There were also definitely some opportunities that the Islanders weren't able to capitalize on that could have really cost the Predators this win. So it was a mixed bag, but it's Friday and we won and we're optimists. So yay for the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the positives and negatives from this game. We'll do that in just a second. But first, today's show, as we mentioned earlier, is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to college basketball to soccer, esports, and of course, everything you need to know for hockey. They've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like the one Ann and I do, BetOnline has plenty of those as well, with a lot of great people giving you betting advice, fantasy advice, anything you need to know to win a little bit dough when it comes to sports. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ann, we talked about a lot of negatives. We talked about a lot of positives. This game had plenty of those, but the Preds wound up getting a win. What is something or someone that you think stood out last night?
There were several players that I thought had really great games, but the top of my list is, of course, Juuso Parssinen. This was his third game in the NHL, 2 goals, 1 assist. I'm so impressed with him, not because he played a perfect game, because here's what's real. Juuso Parssinen had a couple of plays that were super yikes. Like, he had a defensive zone turnover that led to an opportunity in the third period for the Islanders. Like, it was definitely a yikes moment. But what I really like about Parssinen is that he is, as Ted Lasso says, he's a goldfish.
Yeah.
You can tell we just got into Ted Lasso. He is a goldfish. He has a very short memory, and you could see where somebody coming into the league, it's their third game, they want to be in the NHL. If they make a mistake like that could cost the team, it might kind of mess with their game. It could mess with them just kind of mentally. They could maybe play like a little more cautious, and he just is able to, okay, yep, that was not good. I mean, he knew it was not good, but was able to come back out and just get right back to the game that the Predators have needed him to play. And I love this kid. This kid plays in front of the net and he has no fear. He is not intimidated by this opportunity. He is not intimidated by the other team. He is very unflappable in the NHL. And so not only were his goals amazing and exciting, and goals that the Nashville Predators need to score, power play goal, and both of them were kind of tip in front of the net sort of things, greasy goals, but just the way that he has been navigating this opportunity, such a great story for the Nashville Predators. And look, I know we've had already this season great storylines that have kind of want. Kiefer Sherwood, still bitter about that one. But Juuso Parssinen really has such a resiliency to him. I was so impressed with him. I was really impressed with him. And I think that this is somebody that Nashville Predators fans need to get used to seeing in this lineup, because just good, solid young player.
Well, it's a perfect example of John Hines being like, you know what, you screwed up, but that's okay. We're going to put you back out there, and we're going to let you play through your mistake, and them paying it off. We've had this conversation.
Go ahead and say it.
I mean, it's like, wouldn't it be great if he did that with some of the other players on the team? And it really does. The more I see like the leash taking off Juuso Parssinen, the more I'm starting to think like what did Cody Glass do? Did he accidentally throw a giant rager at John Hines's house when he was out of town or something like that? He's just in the doghouse.
I suspect that there is more to this.
There's definitely
you know what I'm saying? I think that there are, and this is just based on, mom's intuition, which it could be gas. I don't know. But I think that there are more elements to this than John Hines is like,
No, 100%. 100%. There is
yeah.
probably a lot more to the situation that we're just not seeing. But it would be
But it
fun
does
to
make
know
you
what that
go,
is. Yeah.
hmm.
And, maybe someday we'll learn or something like
Yeah.
that. Or maybe we'll get better perspective with a longer term picture. Who knows? But anyway, Juuso Parssinen, he is, I think, a good example of what I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I think last night was a good example of what the Preds have in him right now and what he can be long term. Because we saw some of those rookie oopsies.
Yes.
There's a couple of really bad turnovers. I think there was another play where he was just like not in the right position and it wound up kind of blowing a scoring chance or something like that. Like, hey, if he wasn't pinched in, he might have gotten to this puck. And, instead it was like a break the other way for the Islanders. There's just a couple of those. But you also saw him, like what he can be once he cleans up some of those like rookie oopsies. And it's just like this fast player. A 200-foot player. I don't remember any Predator kind of playing this well, in all zones this young. Defensive zone engage, the right type of, mix of pressure and, locking in your position. Neutral zone, very good transition game, very good at kind of finding these soft spots.
Yes.
In the New York Islanders, in neutral zone setup to kind of exploit that and get the puck into your offensive zone. And then just very good offensive instincts all around. You saw it in both of his goals last night. Just always kind of knew the right place to be. And that's, I think, something that, you're going to see more of Juuso Parssinen. I think this game is a good example because you're going to see games where he just looks like a rookie or moments where he looks
moments,
like But as you saw, like, the Preds have a special player in him. And once he cleans that up, once he becomes a more complete player, this is a guy to have as a centerpiece of your roster. If he keeps developing like he is, again, let's like quell expectations a little bit because this is just his third
game.
So let's quell expectations. We don't know what the future holds. We don't
Calder
know what
Cup.
It's going to look like.
Calder Cup.
Yeah, but sure. Yeah. But that's if this is what we're getting long term, but on a bigger scale with a cleaner game, then this is an exciting prospect, the most exciting prospect the Predators have had in quite some time.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And I like, going back to the whole snowball effect, I really like that analogy with Juuso Parssinen in the sense that he is a young player who is able to kind of stop the snowball from rolling down the wrong hill.
Yeah.
He made those mistakes and he's able to come to the bench, regroup and get back out on the ice and he can kind of just turn that page. And that is a maturity thing. That is not an easy that's not an easy lesson to learn in life as in hockey. So that's going to work to his advantage. And look, I'm just going to say it like we absolutely need to quell expectations, but just in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Calder Cup.
I like the Alex Doherty, what he pointed out last night. Since the Preds have recalled Juuso Parssinen, not only the Preds are undefeated, but the Titans are undefeated. The Balls are undefeated. And the Vandy got their first SEC win since 2019. So it's like this is like the like savior of Nashville and Tennessee sports.
I don't want to put a ton of pressure on him, but he's only holding the entire city together.
Yeah, This is like the Thanos, like perfectly balanced kind of guy.
That's right.
Minus the mass casualties all around.
That's true. All right. There were definitely some things in this game that the Predators need to address before they take on, heaven help us, the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night. We're going to talk about what some of those mistakes are and how the Predators need to fix them coming up in just a minute. But First, we want to thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen today. For your second listen today, you need to go check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter most to the biggest stories across all the leagues in sports, you get to go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with information and insights from local experts that Locked On alone can provide. So check out Locked On Sports Today. It is available on this app, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And there's a couple of things to highlight that the Preds need to clean up against Tampa. But I do think we should point out the game that Roman Josi had last night.
Let's go.
A 4-point performance for him. And I think it's important that we bring that up because we've been talking about, hey, Roman Josi is one of these guys that during the Preds' slow start just haven't looked like he has that same kind of, game as he did last year. And this game is like one he had a pretty good game the last couple games too, where it just looked like he was, kind of turning the corner. He set up, the play on Philip Forsberg's first goal. And he had some good passing that set up other opportunities. He didn't get a primary assist on, any of his 3 remaining goals after the Forsberg goal, but he was the guy that set up that play. Like he was the guy that, made the play, like made that good first pass to kind of get people out of position. And that's what set up the rest of the stuff. And that's, I think, important because that was Roman Josi's game last year, was kind of this play facilitator. That's how he got the majority of his points, was kind of being the guy that, okay, the offense runs through him.
Yes.
And you saw it really for the first time in a long time, just like how offensively smart and dominant he was at setting up some of these plays. And that's a good sign for Nashville because you look at the scoreboard and you see 5 goals against Ilya Sorokin, who is one of the best goaltenders in the league, statistically one of the best goaltenders in the league this year also. And so that's something to be very positive. Again, let's quell expectations for the whole year, but it's positive. Like that's the kind of games we're used to seeing out of Roman Josi, and we're starting to see them again.
Well, and I think too, one of the things that you really have to highlight is that Roman Josi played last night paired with Ryan McDonagh, which is the first time that we've really seen them in a game together. And it's such an interesting idea because, you think, okay, but then you've got Josi kind of having to switch sides and all this. But if you look at Josi's game, and John Hines talked about this in the post game, if you look at Josi's game, Josi is everywhere. He does not have a side. He's like a decahedron. Like there's like 857 sides. So he literally plays everywhere. And you watch different parts of the game, and Ryan McDonagh adjusted so effortlessly. It really was an effortless pairing to what Josi was doing. And to read Josi is a thing because again, he's a little bit everywhere. And I thought that was a really interesting pairing, and to see Roman Josi play like a player that other teams have to plan for, because I think this was the first game where we saw Josi's game where other teams have to go, okay, but what are we going to do to contain Roman Josi? So far this season, it really hasn't necessarily been too tricky, but we saw more of his roaming, more of his game playing, like you said, the offense going through Josi, and to have McDonagh kind of playing off of that. I thought that was a really interesting move. I hope it's something that John Hines kind of goes with for a couple of games to see how that pairing ends up working. But I thought that was a really interesting observation. And like, is it correlation? Is it causation? I don't know. We're going to find out, hopefully, if they can kind of stick with these two through a couple games. But definitely a great game for Roman Josi. My goodness.
Yeah. Well, do you remember this was a big conversation we had in the offseason? When Ryan McDonagh came in, we were trying to predict what the pairings would look like. And we brought it up. Remember, we were the ones that were like, you know what, Roman Josi, maybe he's a guy you move to the right because he doesn't really have a position. He's all over the ice.
Yeah.
He's plays on the right side, but you see him more often than not kind of jumping into play. He's very much like that Erik Karlsson style of game where it's like you'll see him kind of as the fourth forward. You'll kind of see him on the left side. You'll kind of see him as the right side, just depending on what the play calls for. And Ryan McDonagh has that sort of defensive IQ from all of his years
Yes.
being a very good defenseman in this league to kind of just read that and know, okay, if he's over here, I see him trying to make this play, so I'm going to go over here. And I think that's a good pairing. I would like to see what it yields long term. I would like to see it for at least John Hines said with it for 2, 3, 4 more games before we can really be like, yep, this is finally the answer.
Well, and I wonder too if maybe it's better that it was tried at this point in the season, because I think Ryan McDonagh, if they had started out like this, maybe he would not have had as good a sense of what Roman Josi's game looks like. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a really good time in the season to try something like this and to kind of ride it out and see what happens. Another player I want to shout out, and I know this is like you doing the Chick-fil-A tweet. Can we just give it up for Cole Smith? And I know, y'all, he was -2 and plus-minus. There's a whole podcast I would love to do on plus-minus, but he had such a great play to set up a great pass to set up Colton Sissons in front of the net on that second goal. He plays, I know y'all, I get the argument about why does his leash so much longer than someone like, I don't know, say Cody Glass. And I don't have an answer for you on that. But I will say this, Cole Smith is bringing things to the table. And so let's stop acting like he is nothing short. He's just a placeholder. He had a great assist on that game. He is very good playing shorthanded, which I think we need to give a shout out to him for. I did see a comment online, Emma Lingen, who works for the Predators.
Just about to pull this one up. Yeah.
Yeah. She sent out a tweet about for all of, you on Twitter who, are kind of down on Cole Smith. This is
for all of you Cole Smith haters, aka the majority of Preds Twitter.
Yes. And she said, this was his, 5th assist. And once you get past that upper tier of players, there's Cole Smith. You've got Forsberg, Duchesne, Josi, and Niederreiter, and then you have Cole Smith. My favorite response to that, and I don't want to fuel the Cole Smith flame, but somebody did respond that Cole Smith is like a homeschool valedictorian. And I thought, okay, first of all, you're funny. And I wish that I had pulled up who made that comment, but you're funny. But I also think let's give him some credit. It is not like the only thing that Cole Smith contributes is bench time for Cody Glass. He is out there shorthanded on the kill, blocking shots. So, Cole Smith, I saw that assist and I liked what I saw.
I love that tweet from Emma. I saw it last night, and it's I just saw it checking Twitter, and I'm like, hell yeah, this is going to get the massive response online.
And it did.
From it. Yes, hell yeah, Emma.
Yep, I know. I was like, go, girl.
Yeah, Cole Smith, we talked about this before. I think the issue is not Cole Smith as a player, because I'm with you. I like what he brings to the table. I think he's done a lot of things well. I think there's just a lot of people out there that think there should be somebody else in his spot. And that's a fair debate. Or, people think that, maybe he's getting opportunities that some other players should be getting. But again, as we kind of mentioned with the Cody Glass versus Juuso Parssinen thing, there might be more going on there. And, you watch Cole Smith, and it's not like, I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, but it's not like watching Ben Harper from a few years ago where it's like you watch and it's like, I don't know why this person is even on the team.
Right. Yes.
I can't think of anything he brings. Cole Smith brings a lot.
He does.
I just think there's other people out there that would like to see, maybe the Preds do something different with his spot. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah. But Cole Smith's on ice play, well done last night.
Yeah. So the Predators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is coming up
Yeah.
Saturday at Bridgestone Arena. Probably the toughest game of the homestand so far, and it only gets a little bit tougher from there because
Yes.
the Colorado Avalanche
Next week.
are
4
on the
games next
horizon.
week.
Yep.
Yep. 4
Happy day
games
after
next week.
Thanksgiving, everybody. All right, and so obviously looking ahead to this weekend, looking ahead to the next week, what's something you want to see the Preds clean up?
I think speed through the neutral zone. I think, in the first period, what we saw from the Predators was really quick, crisp, well executed movement through the neutral zone to get set up. And when that kind of lagged, the Islanders were able to capitalize on that. And Nashville really ended up not getting the kind of offensive zone time that they had in the first period. So, like, keep up with the speed, keep the pace of the game going, keep moving through the neutral zone, especially, but keep the pace of the game going.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to see them be cleaner on zone exits.
Let's
Because we
go.
saw that a few times, a little bit careless with the puck, a little bit of bad
Mhm.
turnovers that led to some sustained play for the other team. I think the Predators last night, if they could clear the zone a little bit cleaner, we'd
Mhm.
be talking about this being like a 5-2 game. Some of those
Yes.
Islanders goals just came on sustained pressure. Against Tampa and against Colorado, those guys are going to be unforgiving. When they have a chance to
Absolutely.
set up and put some pressure on UC Saros, they're going to take it. So I am looking for the Preds to maybe be a little bit cleaner on zone exits, be a little bit careful with the puck, know who you're giving the puck to, and
Mhm.
know where the opposing offensive players still are on the ice so you can take them out of the play with either your positioning, your skating, or a very good first pass out of the zone. So
Yes.
we will see what happens there. Of course, the Predators play Tampa Bay this weekend. On Monday, we will have a plus minus for you, the good kind, recapping the highs and lows of the Predators over this past week. And next week is Thanksgiving. You guys wanted it. So we are going to have a special Thanksgiving show for you coming up next week before we peace out for Thanksgiving break. So yeah, a lot to look forward to next week on the Locked On Predators podcast. And where can the people find your work?
You can find my work at insidethepreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as long as Twitter is still going, at ANK_Mama on Ice.
Yeah, you can find me at ontheforecheck.com and wingingititinmotown.com. You can also find me on Twitter or maybe Discord soon. Who knows? At _NS Morgan. And you can also follow the podcast on Twitter at LO_Predators as well. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, whether it's Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher, or anything in between, be sure to follow us and be sure to give us a rating if you like what you hear. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the Preds' recent performances. That's going to do it for us here on the Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back Monday with a new episode. Have a good weekend, everybody. Cheers.